Welcome back in Chicago Fire Weekly, presented by CIBC. This is Fire Field Vision, as it is powered by NovaCare. The Chicago Fire getting ready to take on the New York Red Bulls. They met twice during the regular season, early in April, a 2-1 loss in New York, and then here a 1-1 draw all the way in September. Are there things that when these teams look at this game, they look at matchups and things maybe that they can do better against New York this week?
Listen, I just feel when you play this team, when you go back to the early game in April, I think that the Fire dominated the middle of the field. I think with Dax, Schweinsteiger, and Juninho, they control the game. I know that they lost, but I felt for me that they had a very good game that day. And Paul, you know, when you play against this team, I think for me, the movement off the ball is very important because I think the players need to have options. It's a team that's going to press. They're going to high press. They're going to bring a lot of energy in the field. So being good with the ball, being able to play quick out of that pressure, switching the point of attack. And I think the advantage for the Fire is going to be essentially because they're going to have that advantage depending on how they play. And then that matchup with Dax against Sasha Kljestan and Felipe, those two players have to mark 3 in the middle. So I think their ability now to overload the middle, control the game centrally, and then at times, you know, swing it out wide where they can get, you know, overloads with Vincent getting forward, with Polster getting forward is going to be a key. And then also I think, Paul, in depth, in transition, when they play a high line, the movement now of Nikolic, of Solinek, or even of Akam to look to get behind them, the opportunities will be there.
Yeah, I mean, for me, this is a game where you need and you want Schweinsteiger back and you want Juninho back because of exactly what you talked about. When you play against a pressing team, this is what Red Bulls do. They press high. They wait for moments when the ball goes wide. They press very quickly and try to win the ball and then score in transition. They're not great at building up in their attack.
Yep.
So this is how they want to beat you. To have 3 guys that are not going to lose the ball easily is very, very important. And those are 3 guys who are not intimidated by pressure on the ball. You can play the ball to Schweinsteiger, and he can have 2 guys on his back. He's not going to lose it.
Yep.
That's what he's known for. I mean, we laughed at one point earlier this year because he was looking to get the ball, and I think it was like Duty or something wasn't playing it to him because there was a guy within 2 or 3 yards. It doesn't matter.
Exactly.
Play him the ball. He knows how to play out of pressure. But it's not just holding the ball out of pressure. It's exactly what Frank talked about, the movement of those 3 so that when the ball goes to Vincent or Polster, they're already in the right spot so that Vincent can play a one-time ball out of that pressure. And then, and this is the most important part, when they receive that ball, they already know where they're going to go with it. Because when the Red Bulls do press like that, they're pulling guys like Mule out, they're pulling guys like Royer up and out, which means that they're isolated one-on-one usually on the wings. That's a quick ball over the top to a guy like Akam in space one-on-one. I love that matchup. The Red Bulls are afraid of that matchup. It's the one thing Jesse Marsh said in media this week. He said, we have to know about Akam all the time. That's what those guys bring you.
I agree with you, but I think in the way that the Red Bulls, I think when you're going to see them press, I think they're going to come with energy, but they want to force the ball out wide because I think the way they play, this is where they have the numbers up situation. They want to force the ball down the side and make it predictable on that side. If it's on their right side where they have Davis, where they have Taylor Adams, and then they have most likely Murillo. So they're matched up 3v2 there. They want to deny the ball coming back centrally where I think that the Fire is going to have an ability to numbers up, and they can play through them with the guys like Dax, and, you know, hopefully Schweinsteiger is available, or Juninho, or even Mihailovic. I think he's been very good. So they want to make it predictable. They want to force the play out wide, and they want to pressure. So the movement is key. When the ball goes out wide, if they cut off the middle, to have some options going forward, you know, whether it's Nikolic to feet, one check-in, or a calm in depth, the Fire is going to have some opportunities against that back line because I think this is where the Red Bulls struggle a little bit.
Frank, when they made that switch, I don't know, maybe 2/3 of the way through the season to whatever you want to call it, a 3-3-3-1, a 5-3-1, whatever you want to call it, 5-4-1, 6-3-1, however you want to call it. Tyler Adams moves from a central position out to a wing-back spot, and they like him high up the field, almost like another midfielder. That's why it's a 3-3-3-1 really in the shape. What does that mean? That means that that space down the wing is there when you break pressure. There's 2 ways, like you said, to break that pressure. You either look to come inside to one of your midfielders who's hopefully showing, and you can make that pass. If they cut that pass off, this is where it's going to be critical for Brandon Vincent and Matt Polster to be watching tape this week and to say, if Tyler Adams is coming to pressure you and close you down with the midfielders, then you need to look at potentially playing that one-time ball down the sideline. and see if you can find a player in space, whether it's David Accam and you're curling it straight down the side, or whether it's that ball over the top, like you said, where Nikolic can time his runs. But you have 3 center backs in the back line, and you should have 3 strikers there as well. And if you can get that ball in early, then that's going to be important. What you don't want is for Brandon Vincent or Polster to take 2 touches, because the moment by the time you're on that second touch, you've touched yourself into trouble. And you got to get the ball off the field, off your foot quickly.
Right, and I think is that if you're right, if you can get their center backs, Paul, on either side, if it's Murillo on one side or Perinel, who I think lacks a little bit of pace, and I think there's an opportunity for them to take advantage of that. If you stretch them out, and then you have the ability of the 2 central midfielders, the 2 attacking midfielders, making those late runs, it's going to be hard for Felipe really to pick up both players. So that's why I think that if you can get out wide or you can get to the middle, switch the point of attack, and have those late runs centrally, I think that the Fire is going to create some opportunities and problems for this back.
And I'm interested to see, Frank, the starting lineup and the options off the bench. If you do start with Juninho and Schweinsteiger and you win the middle of the field, late in the game you're bringing Arturo Alvarez out. You're bringing potentially a guy like Joey Calistri into the game. If you can keep this game tight, the way the Red Bulls play, how much energy they give out in the first hour of the game, can you start to stretch the back line a little bit with David Accam with some pace? And can you look to hit them a little quicker in transition? Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what happens in the last half hour of the game.
And my point I was going to say, this is where, so much comes into the coach, and we don't know what's taking place, because if Schweinsteiger is ready, he's an experienced guy. He hasn't played in a month, so potentially, do you start him? Do you say, maybe this game could go into overtime? How long is he going to last? So those are some decisions that, that have to take place.
And also, does he play more in an attacking role as opposed to a defensive role? Because now you have him and McCarty at the same time.
I don't think so. I think he's the guy who drops in between and is on the ball more often than not. And you want Dax a little bit higher, because I like Dax up against Sasha as much as possible defensively in the midfield, and allow Schweinsteiger to be the guy who floats and gets on the ball.